Okay, time for a new video. Welcome back to my channel, or hello if you're new. This is yet another Eurovision 2025 related video here on my channel, and today I'm going to be talking about why France should perhaps win the 2025 Eurovision Song Contest, an event that we all know will take place in a few weeks' time in Basel, Switzerland. As always, you're welcome to let me know your thoughts on anything I discuss in today's video by leaving a comment down below, and as always there are links in the description to my other social media pages. Check them out if you so wish. A short time ago I made a video regarding Austria, this year represented by JJ with the song Wasted Love, and why that country should perhaps win Eurovision 2025, but now I'm focusing on France instead. 5 times winners, but not since the late 1970s, and this year they're represented by one of their leading female musicians of the past 10 years or so, Luan, with the song Mammon, meaning mother. Luan is in her late 20s, from the northeast of France. She came to prominence thanks to her country's version of The Voice many years ago. She's released plenty of albums, all of which have charted highly in her homeland, as well as diamond, platinum and gold singles, including another song called Mammon back in 2015, which charted at number 18 in her homeland. And would you believe it, her Eurovision effort Mammon has thus far also charted at number 18 in France. She's also dabbled in acting, and she has a young daughter, Esme, whose voice can be heard at the end of Mammon, and we will hear that, of course, in Basel in a few weeks' time. And I have a feeling that's the youngest person to feature on a Eurovision track ever, but I could be wrong. Anyway, we're going to take a look at the lyrics in just a moment, but I want to make it very clear, as I did in the video regarding Wasted Love for Austria. First of all, this is going to be a terrible ramble, but I know some of you don't mind that. Secondly, this is really not me saying, this song is definitely going to win, and I'm trying to convince you as hard as I possibly can. That's not it. This is me talking about a song which does happen to be one of the big favourites to win, and talking about why it should be up there challenging for victory in a few weeks' time, but I'm also going to be discussing why it might not win, because I think it's important to see both sides of the coin, if you see what I mean. Anyway, the lyrics. I've said before on my channel, and I'll say it again many times, I do not believe for 1 minute the lyrical content of a Eurovision track is that important. Most people tuning in, first-time listeners, casual viewers, indeed Eurovision fans, I think they are far more interested in the melody of a track and how it is presented live, more so than what the song is actually banging on about. Nevertheless, let's take a look at the English translation of Mammon. As it says here in front of me, there are no more one-night stands, there are no more beds. In the end, you see, I've built my life, and the emptiness is vast. The questions too. How are you? Do you see everything here? I've changed a lot, I've grown up a lot. From you I kept everything that makes me who I am. I'm better, I know where I'm going. I stopped counting the years, and if I wanted to stop time, now it's me she calls Mum. There are similarities here to the Austrian track, in the sense that it's a ballad, it's quite slow going, and it's quite heartfelt, and there is some emotion behind what is being sung. However, I would go as far to say that this is considerably more personal, more heartfelt, and more tender, and perhaps could have an even stronger resonation, if that's the right word to use, with the casual viewer. This song, to me, is about Luan herself reflecting on her past. Her mother passed away when she was a bit younger. That's obviously a huge loss, the loss of a parent. So she's reflecting on that and thinking about the relationship that she perhaps had with her own mother, and how she now, and has been for a few years, is a mother herself, and the relationship that she has with her child, and how it's sort of come full circle, these sort of family dynamics. That's what the song feels like to me. So obviously it does have that very strong personal message. Not everybody speaks French, but at one of the pre-parties, I think it might have been the Amsterdam pre-party, but don't quote me on that, Luan performed this with English lyrics on the screen behind her. Now some people might find that a bit distracting or dull presentation, but to me I thought it was a very nice touch indeed, because here you have a song with a message. Here you have a song that is so personal, and you've got to try and convey that intimacy, that personal message on a fairly large, wide scale. And I think back to Italy, very different song, but Italy 2018 in Lisbon, with Ermel and Fabrizio, and they had lyrics of their song on screen in multiple different languages, and they ended up finishing third in the public half of the results. Now, I'm not saying that touch that they did played a part in why they received so many points from the general public, but it was a very nice idea because it helped people understand the message of the song. And if you're tuning in on the night not knowing what the hell is coming up, it's really important that you somehow get the message across, even with an intimate track. And I think we are probably going to get something fairly similar at Eurovision, where we have an English translation of the lyrics on the backdrop. I, for one, would not mind that. If anything, it's going to help her cause and her chances of victory ever so slightly, perhaps. I think she's a fantastic live singer, based on the live performances I've seen over the past couple of weeks of other songs of hers as well. I mean, there's a video on the Eurovision channel where she did a cover of a Pixies song, and I just thought, whoa, this is a great cover, sounding fantastic. She's obviously got bags of experience, even though she's not yet 30. She's been making music for a long time, really big star, and there's a lot of faith from the French broadcaster in her. Now, that could be a lot of pressure on her shoulders, but at the same time, maybe you've just got to revel in it. And she premiered this song at half-time of a Six Nations rugby match back in March. That's not really the audience for Eurovision-related stuff. But there she was, lights streaking across the pitch, across the whole stadium, sounding great, elevated on this platform, a bit of pyrotechnics as well. She delivered the goods. And that was just so impressive because this wasn't a BBC sort of thing, let's premiere the track on a random weekday morning and see if people give a damn. This was big stadium, live, tens of thousands of people. A lot of faith has been put in her by the French broadcaster. So she's already done it. Eurovision is in some ways a bit smaller because it's a smaller live crowd, it's a smaller venue, so I don't think she'll be fazed too much by performing at Eurovision in the grand final next month. So that's a great thing. Hopefully she's going to have a lot of confidence, even though this is quite a difficult and emotionally challenging song to sing, I'm sure. Hopefully her confidence will shine through, because believe me, we all know this. If somebody's going out on stage and isn't confident, it does show. And also, if a singer doesn't really have much of a connection with what they're singing, that also can show. But I don't think we have any qualms about that with France this year, because as I've already said, Luan is singing a song that is clearly very personal to her. It feels like a real cathartic moment, I'm sure. Anyway, let's now think about why this song might not win. Well, some people might say it's too dull. I think this is a cruddy argument, because we've had songs that are dull do very well in the past, especially in the public half of the results. So this whole thing about it's not going to win because it's boring, I'm not really believing that at all. I'm not believing it with Austria, I'm not believing it with France. It's one of the favourites to win. And here's the thing, France were one of the favourites to win when Luan was announced as the French representative for this year, an internal selection months and months ago. And she could have easily tumbled with the betting odds as soon as her song came out. But she didn't really. She's still up there, seen as one of the major favourites. And I'll say it now because chances are I'll forget later on. Sweden are right there. It's my favourite of the year. It's a lot of people's favourite of the year. It's obviously highly different in comparison to Wasted Love and Mammon and many of the other songs this year. But, as I've said before, and some other people out there I'm sure might see this coming as well, Barabarabastu might not do as well as we expect with the public, and certainly might not do incredibly well with the music professionals, who may well look at the Swedish entry and find it a bit of a joke, or there's not really much substance or value, or anything remotely interesting lyrically, or perhaps indeed the staging. They might find the staging a little bit too silly. I don't know. But the juries might not like it a great deal, maybe less than 150 points. That could be damaging. Then you've got Austria, and it's entirely possible the public just won't connect with the operatic style of vocals we've got on display, and that just might turn people off within the first 40 seconds or so. I don't know. That leaves France. If Sweden aren't going to do it, and Austria aren't going to do it, it probably is going to be France. Yes, we've got Finland and the Netherlands and what have you, but it's probably going to be France. Now, here's another thing. France have sent ballads in the recent past. Some people might say, oh, France are just doing the same old thing again. It's never going to work. We're tired of French ballads. Well, I'm not sure people are. Because if that was the case, this wouldn't be one of the favourites to win, if you ask me. We had Barbara Pravi with Voilà in Rotterdam in 2021. Very simple, well executed French language ballad. Barbara just stood there for 3 minutes. We had that moment on the stage floor where birds sort of flew out from her silhouette or whatever it was. You know what I'm on about if you've seen the performance. It was a really nice touch. And that was a little bit of a wow moment, perhaps. The spotlight behind her. It was all really beautifully executed. And we had Italy and we had Switzerland. And I remember, and I think I discussed this in my video regarding Austria, a lot of people wanted Italy to win, including myself. A lot of people really loved Switzerland. We all knew France were one of the favourites, but I don't remember a lot of people at the time going on about Voilà winning. If anything, I remember people saying they didn't want Voilà to win. But this was a song that did very well in the jury vote and very well in the public vote. So, a timeless, classic French language ballad, absolutely doing the business. It just didn't win, but it wasn't that far away. Had people not really connected with the Italian number as much, had Switzerland not won the jury vote, France did instead, it could have been a different story. It could have been Paris 2022. Then we had Slimane last year, Mon Amour. What a very simple track that was. White outfit, camera pretty much in front of him for 3 minutes. That big moment where he took a step back from the microphone stand and just belted the tune out. That was a little bit of a wow moment. That was the selling point of that song. I talk about selling points on my channel every now and then because to do well at Eurovision, I do think you need that one, or indeed several, moments in your track that's going to make the audience go, okay, now I'm really invested. Now I'm going to stick with this for the full 3 minutes. Now I'm going to want to listen to this song again after the contest is over. There is something about this particular moment of this particular track that is making me want to perhaps vote for it. And with Slimane, his selling point, if you see what I mean, was when he took that step back from the microphone stand and just belted it out for a couple of seconds. Really impressive. There wasn't really anything groundbreaking about that tune, though. There wasn't anything particularly dynamic about the melody. There wasn't anything particularly remarkable about his attire or the way it was presented. And yet, he did incredibly well with the public. He did incredibly well with the juries, and he finished in the top 5. This year, we have another French language ballad. We sort of know what we're going to get, perhaps, in terms of the staging. I'm not sure what the selling point is going to be, but if Barbara did well and Slimane did well, Luan is going to do well. And in my opinion, this year is not as strong as 2021 or indeed last year. Not quite as strong. So, in a slightly less strong lineup, perhaps there is a path for Luan with Mammon to win. For the reasons I've just given. If Sweden don't do as well as we expect, if Austria's vocals put people off, France is perhaps the next most likely candidate. There is absolutely a possibility that this song could flop. That could happen. I just don't see it happening. It's one of those songs that I think, and this is not me bashing other Eurovision fans, but this is one of those songs that's right up there, and nobody really, at least in the few comments that I've seen online over the past few weeks, not that I'm trawling through loads of comments, of course, but based on what I've seen, this is one of those Eurovision tracks that is absolutely one of the favourites to win, but nobody's really thinking it's going to win. Nobody's really giving it much thought. Nobody's giving it the time of day. And it's just strange because it reminds me of 2021. France were right there and nobody was really hyping that song up too much. But we all knew it could probably do the business and win. We just weren't really talking about it so much for whatever reason. And it's reminding me... This year is reminding me of that year. A little bit. Why else could this song win? Well, I know I'm repeating myself here, but with the Swedish track, in a year that's full of very expressive entries, which Barbara Bastu is, like Ich Kommer is, like Espresso Macchiato is, and so on, in a year full of songs that are very lively, quite vibrant, we're expecting quite, colourful and lively staging and presentation in general, some people might much prefer something softer. And music professionals, they might look at Sweden, might not enjoy it. They might look at Austria, and for whatever reason, the staging isn't quite working, so they might not dish out points here, there, and everywhere. With the French track, there really isn't anything to fault. If I was a music professional, a singer, songwriter, journalist, whatever, if I was looking at this French track, afterwards, I would be saying to myself, there was absolutely nothing wrong with that. It sounded good, it looked pretty good, I was invested, job well done. Whereas a music professional might look at Barra Barra Bastu, might look at Wasted Love, might look at even the Dutch entry and say, it's lacking this, it didn't quite hit the mark for me there, this was not quite bang on the money. Do you see what I mean? Little things. But the thing is, it is the little things that could prevent you from winning or getting a point from somebody, and for all we know, that point could be the difference between winning and not winning. Or getting a point from one country in the jury vote and not getting a point, if you see what I mean. I'm just thinking that this French track, there's little to fault. In my opinion, there's little to criticise, apart from the fact that it's a bit slow and a bit boring. Well, music professionals, if they're doing their job properly, yeah, they might well view some songs as dull, boring, too slow-paced for their liking, whatever. But if they are doing their job properly, they're going to judge each song neutrally, and they may well still dish out points to those songs that maybe aren't tunes that they're necessarily going to gravitate towards outside of Eurovision. Which is why, another reason why the French song might just sneak in and take the victory. It's entirely possible. Not only that, France haven't won for a long time, and it's clear to me as though they want to win, and again, this is something we see at Eurovision, countries giving a damn, in it to win it. It's a competition, I talk about it all the time. You're in it to win it. And if you're not in it to win it, it's fairly disappointing if you ask me. You've got to give it a right good go, especially if you've never won before, in my opinion. Now, France haven't won since the late 70s with Mary Myriam. They've done well at Junior Eurovision over the years, and now I sense that they really do want that adult competition 6th ESC win. It really feels that way to me. And if you take a look at the automatic qualifiers, the UK had that one good year with Sam Ryder, and if we go even further back, that other not too bad year with Jade Ewan. But for about 20 years, the UK have been shite on the whole at Eurovision. And I have to say, if Remember Monday, for whatever reason, finished low down on the scoreboard this year, it's another year in which the UK are very disappointing, and there doesn't really seem to be a great deal of change on the horizon, perhaps. Germany, yes, they did okay last year, and yes, they won in 2010, but also, on the whole, they've been incredibly disappointing for a long time. Spain did all right with Chanel, but now they're going backwards. Italy know what they're doing, they're fine. And then you've got France. And now France are emerging from the shadows a little bit and saying to the rest of Europe, we are in it to win it now. We're really taking it seriously. It's only been 11 years since Moustache by Twin Twin, which was fun, light-hearted stuff, but we all knew that was France not really taking it terribly seriously. 11 years on, they are now really wanting, I think, Paris 2026 or 2027 to happen. That's what it feels like to me. They want to capture some of that junior Eurovision magic and transplant it into the adult competition and hope for the best. And if Slimane couldn't do it and Barbara Pravi couldn't do it, then maybe Luan won't do it. But as I said earlier, in a slightly weaker lineup, in a year where, the other big favourites, there might be reasons, particularly with the juries, as to why they might not do incredibly well, there is a path for France to maybe take the win. I'm actually on the Eurovision World website right now, and there is a poll on the right-hand side. Who should win Eurovision 2025? Sweden and Austria are tied for first place, followed by Finland Albania and Israel, and then it's France, which is interesting. I was actually going to make a video regarding why Albania should win Eurovision 2025. I don't think that video is going to surface now, although I could make several good points as to why Sherm should perhaps win next month. But I'm looking at that list and I'm thinking, even though France is one of the favourites, are people underestimating its chances? Is this really going to not finish in the top 5 with both the juries and the public? Is this really a possibility? I suppose it is. I just don't see it happening at all. Based on recent history, France will be up there again with both the music professionals and the public. The public will be behind this. Maybe it won't be a huge score, but I don't think it will be a bad score. Less than 100, for example. I'm not sure that's going to happen. Especially if the performance is rock solid. Especially if the message of this song comes through. Especially if the emotion comes through the television screens. Or you're there in the arena and it comes through to you and strikes a chord with you. It really could be a wonderful, magic moment. And as for the selling point of this track, well, we don't know for sure how it's going to be staged. But if Slimane had that step back from the microphone and Barbara Pravi had that thing on the stage floor with the birds and everything, and the camera going from side to side right at the end as things became a little bit more frantic, Luan is probably going to have something as well. And that could be the moment where people go, okay, this is a fine ballad, but now it's a fine ballad that really is in it to win it. I don't think it should be underestimated, one bit. Not at all. Excuse me, not at all. Because if it's not Sweden and it's not Austria, chances are it's going to be France. Maybe the Netherlands, but I'm leaning more towards France. I really don't have anything else to say because I feel as though I'm repeating myself big time now. But I really do enjoy this track. I wasn't sure about it based on the live performance in Paris when it premiered, but having heard the studio cut, and there's a version which is a little bit more acoustically driven on the Eurovision YouTube channel now, that's fantastic. I really like her personality. She's a beautiful woman, and I just think this is a really, really strong French effort. It's my number 4 of the year at the moment. I believe it's the 3rd or 4th favourite to win, which is great, and I absolutely believe France are on the right track. If they don't win this year, then maybe next year it is time to do something a little bit different. I believe they're going back to a national final. Not sure if that's the right idea or not. But absolutely, there's just similarities here to a few years ago in Rotterdam. We've got 3 big contenders, 3 different songs. 2 of them are a little bit more slower paced. And all the emphasis is on Sweden. Back in 2021, it felt as though all the emphasis was on Måneskin with Zitti e Buoni for Italy. Then we had the 2 ballads. We had Tout l'univers and, of course, Voilà. This year it's Wasted Love and Mammon. And out of those 3, there's just one that's maybe not getting as much buzz as the others, even though we all know it absolutely could be our winner. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Let me know what you think. Please respect my opinions as I will with yours. And I can't help but feel as though I should have structured this video a little bit better, and I feel as though I'm missing out lots of different bits and pieces as well. But I'm really looking forward to seeing how this comes across live next month. It's absolutely one of my favourites of the year. It should not be underestimated. And classy, simplistic ballads can absolutely do the business. No matter what year it is, they are timeless. People can connect with them for whatever reason. And if you deliver it well, the points will pour in. And just thinking about the Austrian track, I actually had a comment on that video a short time ago, and I just want to make a point of this. Opera has a history of doing better with the public. The juries shafted Il Volo and Cesar, that's Romania 2013. So going back to Austria, just for this moment, that was a very interesting point that person made there, and I thank you for your comment if you're watching this video, because we're all expecting Wasted Love to do incredibly well with the juries, but maybe it'll end up doing better with the public. Who knows? Who knows? Austria and France should be right up there challenging for victory, and Sweden should not be running away with it. It might be my favourite of the year. There's a part of me that doesn't want Sweden to win again because they've won enough over the past few years, it feels like. But yeah, it should be very, very close, the voting next month. We'll wait and see. That's it. I'll be back with more Eurovision 2025 related content fairly soon. Thank you for sticking with me. Until next time, take care of yourselves, stay safe, and au revoir for now. See you soon.